Hey, what's up? Serpentine here, taking a look at the collectible card game Chronicle's Runescape Legends. Developed by Jagex, the same guys behind the Runescape MMO. Chronicles mixes a little bit of the board game Dominion with a little bit of Hearthstone and some dungeon building elements thrown in there too. You won't be facing your opponent directly, instead the game has you setting up your own enemies to face, spells to use and items to buy, all of which will give you some kind of reward for defeating or purchasing them. You still face off against an enemy player as you progress through the 5 different locations, just not really able to take them on face to face until the very end. Instead, you'll build up your character with items and stats while chipping away at your opponent's health with various card effects, preparing for the final showdown, going into the fight with the best advantage you possibly can. For every location that you arrive at, you'll be able to place 4 cards into play that you will encounter one after another until moving on to the next location, drawing 3 new cards and then placing another 4 encounters and so on. As you travel across these locations, there are 3 main resources that you want to be collecting throughout, including damage to deal with some of the tougher monsters and your opponent, gold to purchase spells and equipment, and finally armor to help soak up some of that extra damage that'll be coming your way. The only way you can obtain these resources is by receiving them as rewards from cards, the reward type and amount indicated at the bottom of the card. There are other types of rewards that you can obtain too, including weapons with added damage and durability to give you that extra punch, as well as healing cards to help keep you alive. Apart from rewards, cards can also have additional effects that activate once the card is defeated, like drawing additional cards or dealing damage to your opponent. When up against a monster card, combat will be turn-based, with you, the player, always going first. If you manage to defeat the monster card in one hit, the monster won't be able to retaliate, unless otherwise noted on its additional abilities. If you don't manage to defeat it though, it will get a chance to attack you, dealing its damage indicated at the top left of the card to you. While it may seem silly to take damage from a monster or even a spell card, sometimes the reward from doing so is worth the risk. For example, this card that deals 8 damage to you but rewards you with 7 armor and 2 gold can actually be quite effective when comboed with this card that gives you health equal to your currently equipped armor plus 2. It has you coming out on the other side with basically 7 free armor and possibly even more health if you already had armor beforehand. The collectible card side of the game has the usual class-based systems, with Chronicles currently featuring 4 different classes, including the armor-based gladiator, spell-based mage, gold-based thief, and finally a weapon-based blacksmith. They each have their own set of unique cards tailored to their playstyle, with some unlocking by simply playing as that class and leveling them up, or by opening card booster packs. Constructing your own deck will require a minimum of 30 cards to draw from, allowing for a maximum of 35 cards. However, the more cards you have in your deck, the less likely you're going to draw the ones you want, unless of course you are running a heavy card drawing deck. At the start of the game, you will draw 7 cards, all of which can be mulliganed if you want for the possibility of a better hand. After that though, you'll be stuck with the cards you draw. At the end of the game, depending on whether you win or lose, you will receive various different gems that can be used to craft new cards in a system that has unique gem currency for each card rarity, so legendary gems for legendary cards and rare gems for rare cards. There is also a card upgrade feature that will turn your normal card into a golden card, purely cosmetic, and will require these gems too. As for the game modes, there are currently 2 modes based on the one format in casual and ranked. Ranked being playable from the very start, however you'll be severely disadvantaged without some of your class's key cards. The ranked system is a little bit more advanced than what you're probably used to in other collectible card games, with 4 different tiers like gold and bronze, each with 50 levels to climb until you reach the top. To progress into a new tier, you'll have to be in the top certain percentage at the end of each season, with the season currently planned to last around 3 months or so. Finally, there is a campaign mode planned for the game later on in its development, details of which aren't fully known yet. Chronicle's look and feel is actually pretty neat with its storybook / board game style. Every card in the game has a standing 2D representation that spawns in from the card when you encounter them, most of which have great voice acting and sounds associated with them. Saying that though, it can get a little repetitive, seeing as at this point in the game at least, most decks have very similar cards in them. Plus, the animation sequences do take a little longer than they probably should. Also on the sound, particularly the gladiator's voice, it's a little bit jarring with a lot of post-processing effects going on. I'd also like to see volume sliders for both the game's music and sound rather than just a mute-unmute options that are currently available. Other features of the game include a practice mode where you'll be playing AI if you're not quite ready to play against other people. There will be stats added to the game as well as various different items you can purchase from the in-game store, including bundles, gold cards, and customization items for your main character. As for the game's relation to the RuneScape universe, unfortunately I haven't played in quite some time, so I can't really comment on its ties to the source material. Altogether, Chronicle's RuneScape Legends is an interesting take on the collectible card game genre, and it's a nice change with more of a PvE orientation. The game does rely on a little bit more guesswork from players anticipating what cards have been placed and where, so they can try to counter or at least somewhat prepare for it. With Chronicle's current set of mechanics and format, it does seem it will struggle with card variation and different abilities that they can have while still maintaining balance. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with, but they are working in a very confined space. If you're looking for a collectible card game with a bit of a twist, or perhaps prefer facing your own deck of cards rather than your opponent's, then Chronicle's RuneScape Legends is definitely worth a look. Anyway, that's been my player preview for Chronicle's RuneScape Legends. The game is currently in closed beta with no date set yet for open beta or release. If you want to find out more about the game, check out the links below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.